Welcome back to Clout 941. We're here with the Democratic candidate for sheriff, Curt Lavarello. Curt, our next question is the role of higher education in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Controversial topic, particularly in the last 10 years or so. There are some agencies that are going to where college degrees are required if you're going to get promoted and advanced. And there's a lot of old-time police officers who think, hey, man, I'm a good cop. I've done a great job. I've worked 20 years. I shouldn't have to have a bachelor's degree to get promoted. Right. How do you feel about the role of higher education?
Well, no, I'm the one candidate that has been. I've been in every one of the 50 states. I've trained officers all across the nation. And, you know, a lot of departments did try to move to that, and a lot of them backtracked when they realized that there were a lot of good candidates they were missing simply because they did have that college degree requirement. So I would not require a college degree. I want a well-rounded person that both has a college degree, and if they don't have the college degree, then I want to see an equal amount of experience. And I think that's important. As a matter of fact, I probably put experience a little ahead of the degree in many respects. I always joke about the person who goes to the airport. Would you want to fly with the pilot who has the degree in aviation or the one who has the experience in aviation? And I'm going to go with the experience a little ahead of the degree.
Maybe flown some combat missions or something.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. All right, now how about the other side of the coin, physical fitness? A lot of law enforcement agencies are making this mandatory, where you have to pass a certain physical fitness test every year. Others not. It's sort of an aspirational thing.
Right.
What do you feel about that?
Well, I think it is important. If you're going to be out there on the streets and wearing a uniform and chasing down criminals, you've got to maintain your physical shape and things like that. However, I will say this. I know that Bockwell put into place a policy that is basically coming down to the short end here. They've got several deputies that are on the termination list to be terminated if they don't pass this test for the last time.
Really?
And you know what? We're in a tough financial world right now. People are struggling. I'm not going to walk into that office and fire deputies because they could. I'm going to work with those deputies. We're going to try to get them back in shape. If we have to do some things with some of the local partnerships, maybe with the YMCA, try to get them back into shape. Heck, I need to do it myself. I'm going to be right there with them trying to get back into shape. But
so
I'm
they
not
would
gonna,
actually be terminated if they didn't pass.
Under the current Bockwell policy, yes, they're slated for termination.
Wow, didn't know that. Let me ask you about the Indianapolis model of take-home patrol cars, and this is something that, you know, I talked to a former sheriff who said that it was his greatest mistake as sheriff was going to the Indianapolis model. The concept was you let officers take home their marked patrol cars, and they park them in their driveway and they drive them to work, and that would deter crime in the community because there'd be a mark. But now the problem is everybody's taking their cars home. The detectives, the staff, they're unmarked. And that's wasn't the original purpose, and we're paying out a lot of money in gas and insurance and everything else for these people to drive cars back and forth to work. What do you think about that?
The vehicle policy and you know, the officers that are watching right now, or especially the supervisors, may not be happy with it. But you know what? We're going to mark a lot more cars under my administration. Every sergeant and lieutenant right now that are out there, they have unmarked cars. Which means they can use those cars virtually 24 hours a day. They're going to be marked, and
at our expense.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's something, it just, logically speaking, we're about $14–15 million in fuel bill every year here at the Sheriff's Department. That's a lot of money, and it's constantly going up. You know, and the taxpayers are paying for it. So we do have to reel in, and that's where we're going to see some savings. But we're going to have to look at the whole car policy. Civilian employees that have take-home cars, I'm not convinced that they need take-home cars for civilian employees. I don't mind the marked cars going back and forth to work and parking in the driveway. There's some validity to that Indianapolis plan. But when the 24-hour use is going to be something that I visit very, very swiftly, and it may come to an end.
Okay. Next is the role of unions in law enforcement. Unions, under Sheriff Monge fought the union, did not want a union, did not want to see a police union here in Sarasota County, and there wasn't one under his administration.
Right.
Balkwell did the same thing. However, first couple years into his administration, the union did form, and there is a union here now. But Balkwell is not real happy to have one. How do you view police?
You know, not recognizing unions right now is archaic. They are a way of life. They are a society. And in many ways, you know what? They keep us as the administrative staff on our toes. I was a union rep in Broward County. I fought for the troops, and I was an administrator, and I worked on the other side of the table from the union. So I've had both perspectives. And there's a reason why unions exist. It's to make sure that we as the administrative staff treat people fairly. And that's something that's been seriously lacking here at the Sarasota County Sheriff's Department, that when I come into office, I'm going to correct right away. We're going to start a sense of fairness in the department again.
Is there a single biggest criticism that you have of the current sheriff's budget? Is there one particular thing that sticks in your craw?
Well, I just don't think, I hated to see the cuts, that were recently made. And because I think it goes against the prevention model that I've talked about on this campaign for the last year, taking the officers out of the school. And I think that really sticks to my craw. But really, I got to tell you something. The sense of fairness, I think, has really impacted the morale of the Sarasota County. There are a lot of hard-working men and women that have worked here that have called me, that have been in touch with me since I've been in this campaign. And you know what? The one thing they've asked me is they don't want a bigger paycheck. They don't want, specialized positions. They want to be treated fairly, and that's something they're going to have under my administration.
Okay. We're just about out of time. That's a wrap. We'll see you next week with State Representative Doug Holder on Clout 941.
Yeah.